Hello everyone and welcome back to Genie Crafts. Today's video is all about how to approach the template creation for a 3D model in Pepakura. I already have a couple of videos about the basics of Pepakura, but in those videos what I have not discussed is how to approach the breaking of a 3D model into desirable parts so that you can convert it into a 2D template in least possible time, and so that the template that you create is also easy to assemble. So that's what we are going to cover in today's video, and you can consider this as a masterclass in Pepakura, wherein I'll be talking about this, but at the same time I'll again be talking about the basics of Pepakura, at least some of the basics which you require for day-to-day working with this software. So guys, as you know, Pepakura is not a free software. It's a paid software. You can download it from the tamasoft.co.jp. It's a Japanese software. You can download it from their website. I will put the link in the video description and you can go there and download it. The download is free, but you need to buy a key to do the essential activities in the Pepakura designer, which is utilized to convert 3D models into 2D templates. So this is the interface that you get. These are the options, the second line, which you can utilize once you have unwrapped your model, and these are the options that you can do on the 3D model. So the 3D model comes here on the left hand side, and the right hand side workspace is where the 2D parts get displayed. But before we change our 3D model into 2D model, there is a lot of thought process that goes into how you break your model. So the first thing that I need to do is to drop my 3D model. So this model has been created by one of my collaborators who makes 3D models for me. His YouTube handle is Unified Creator, and you can visit his channel to see his 3D work. So he has created this wall mount chimp model for me. The moment you will drop a model, the first option that you're going to see is whether you want to flip the model or not. So by default, for majority of the cases, the choice that you need to make is that you do not want to flip. What flip does is that it brings the textured faces towards the inside of the model and brings the non-textured faces towards the outside of the model. For now, let's just select no flip, because if I select flip, the entire model will be turned inside and out in terms of the texture. Next, it will showcase you the front and the bottom of the model. If the color is not correct, you can choose the colors from here. The front is correct, so I'll click next. The bottom is also correct, so I'll click next. Then it is going to ask you to invert. For symmetrical models, it does not matter whether you invert or don't invert, but let's say in one model the right hand is bent upwards and the left hand is hanging down, then in that case, if you select no invert, in the final model the right and left hands will be swapped. So if you select no invert in a non-symmetrical model, the left hand right hand side gets swapped. So the 3D model will be 3D model that you develop will be a mirror image of the 3D model that you developed in your 3D modeling software. So by default, always choose invert, whether it is symmetrical or it is a non-symmetrical model. Now you might be building model to a certain scale, which is the next step. It asks you what is the height, width and depth. It's quite possible that in your 3D modeling software the height of the model was 19 centimeter or the height of the model was 19 meter, but whatever was the unit in which you created your model in the 3D modeling software, it equates it to 1 mm. So 1 meter of 3D modeling software is equal to 1 millimeter here. So you need to specify the scale here, which is the easiest way to do it. So let's assume that this was 19 meters high model, or let's assume that it was 19 inches. So for now, let's assume that it was 19 meters. So what I need to do is that I need to convert this to 1000 millimeters. So one unit in the original model is equal to 1000 millimeter in Pepakura. Now this is way too big, so what I will do is that I will uh, think of it as 30 centimeter or somewhere, so we can keep reducing this scale. So initially whenever we uh, work on Pepakura, what I advise everyone is that keep the model dimensions high, because it allows you to work easily. Once you have broken down your model in the desired way that you want, you can always scale down your model, because a lot of things get very confusing if the parts that are breaking are extremely small. Now this is a fairly simpler model, but I recently worked on a Thanos model that my friend Unified Creator built uh, previously for testing purposes. Now there were a lot of small parts on it, and I did not scale up my model very high. I worked on the original scale and it was very troublesome. So it's always good that you keep the scale high, and it's especially good if there are very small parts in your model, so that you know once you work on a bigger scale, you can always take a printout on a smaller scale. You can always fit to the page size when you're taking print from the PDFs, so that is quite easy to do. Now once you have the model loaded, just look at the model from every direction. The first thing that you should try and check is that whether it is a closed model or an open model. As you can see that this is an open model. The red lines in the model showcase open edges which are not going to connect to any other edges. Having an open model is always beneficial because it allows you to connect the pieces easily when you are building it on the paper. Has this been a closed model, the last few pieces where the model gets closed entirely are always difficult, because there is no way for you to hold the pieces together, the edge and the flap together to connect. So having an open model is always good for starting. The next thing that you need to analyze in the model is that what are those parts of the model that you need to connect in advance and keep it ready before uh, you know uh, you build rest of the model. So for example, if I say that this bow tie here is fairly detached from the model, it is just attached to the model at these 2 points, and it's a little more complex as compared to rest of the model. So whenever we are building these kind of models, these kind of ornaments or clothing pieces are always that you want to keep separate. Now Pepakura by default separates out all the color in different pages when you build the model, but it's always good to specify on your own when you are building. So that's one thing. Are there any other pieces like this in this? You can see the nose. The structure of the nose is fairly complex as compared to the remaining pieces on the side. So what I would do is that I would first connect this nose, these pieces together, and keep them aside, just like I will do with the bow tie. Then we have the eye. As you can see that there are three different colors in the eye, and then they are connected to the remaining pieces. So once again, I will have the eyes ready on the side, especially the inner parts, and once they are ready and on the side, when their time comes, then I will connect them to the rest of the model. And similarly with the ears. So any kind of living being model, uh, you know it's always good to have those ears and other stuff ready, especially if you have a piece like this where it is going inside and then coming out again. So this is coming out again and here it is going inside, so it's always best to connect this inside part, especially this part. I'm zooming in and zooming out with the help of the center wheel of the mouse button. I'm using the right mouse click to rotate the model, and left click doesn't do anything here except the selection. If you want to shift your model, you will have to press your center wheel or the center button of your mouse and then drag the model wherever you want. So that's how you make the movements, and that's how I'm making the movement. So these are the few things that you need to analyze. So the first is check whether the model is open or closed, which makes your job much easier. The second is identify the pieces that needs to be prepared first before you start building rest of the model. And then comes the toughest part, is defining the cut lines. If I click unfold, it will unfold automatically. but there is no guarantee, that this has been folded correctly. So I'll show you. For example, in this piece you can see that these are two different edges, but there is very little flap here to connect to each other. Similarly for this also, and it's a fairly complex piece. We want all the pieces to be able to accommodate in a single page width. So it's important, that these kind of things are taken care of, and that is done when you define the cut lines. And I will show you the best way to define the cut lines, so that you can follow the same procedure. Some of them are, some of them have come good, some of them have not come so good. So these pieces are okay, but these pieces are again not okay because the space is so less, especially if you're taking a smaller printout. So I'll undo the unfold. I will remove the original data. So what we need to do here is define the cut lines. Now, as I was saying before, for the pieces that you need to prepare beforehand, the rule is very simple, that you have to define cut line around it, separate it from the rest of the model. So to specify the cut line, all you need to do is click on this icon and you can see specify cut line edges. So click on it, and whatever edge you click on will get highlighted orange, which means that you want Pepakura to break your model along these lines. So first let me separate out these parts, and then I will talk about more important aspects of unwrapping your model. So these are done. Now coming to the eye. If you find some of the edges are too small, you can always zoom into your model, which will make it easier for you to select. I'm not doing any kind of time lapse, or I'm not speeding up the video, because I want you guys to understand carefully how this works. As you can see that there is a lot of bifurcation that I will need to do inside these cut lines that I'm specifying, but we will cover that later. So eyes are done. Next is the nose. And it goes without saying that you have to separate out one color from the other. I mean, that's given, because you can't have two faces, like face one, this one face and this one face, of the different colors as a single part, because it will not work. So eyes are done, the nose is done, the ears are done, and next comes the bow tie, which is a little tricky, but let me show you how to do it. So first thing that you need to do is you need to enlarge it. So it first see at what edges the bow tie is connected to the rest of the model. So these are the edges where the bow tie is connected to rest of the model. So you need to specify those edges. Now the bow tie is out of this 3D model. As you can see from the back also that it is out. Now once you are done, then comes the next step. The next step is dividing your remaining parts in such a way and sequencing them in such a way so that they are easy to connect, so that even if you give this to a kid, he should be able to connect the pieces together. But how to do that? So there are a few tricks that you can employ. The first thing that you need to notice obviously is the color. You have to have the same colored pieces together. That goes without saying. Now I'll take a very simple example. Let's look at the faces from here till here and the faces from here and till here. Now what you see is that there is a slight angle between this face and this face, and this face and this face also, and all the faces are at some angle to each other. But if I break this model from here, let me quickly do this, then I will explain. If I'm breaking this model from here, this entire piece can be laid out or can be flattened without any problem to the remaining pieces. Had I attached this here, like let's say I built it like this. First, let's see what happens if I break it like this. Okay, instead of going here, I have done this. So let me unfold. Rest of the model will get unfolded, as per its own requirements, but this one piece will get unfolded as per what I want. So I don't know where this piece is, so I'm going to click here. It will show me this piece. So you can always select pieces on the right by clicking the 3D parts on the left. Now, the way the model is structured, the 3D aspect of the model is in such a way that these, when you fold this line of paper, this entire faces, this line of paper together, these two pieces come together, because that's how the mouth of the chimp is structured. So that means that when I fold this and this are going to come together. What this means is that the space between this and this is going to reduce, and that is what has happened here. As you can see that there is a small flap coming here, the white portion, but is it enough for you to easily attach? No, it's not enough. So the way we need to define is that we need to remove these parts and keep this line separate. See, you'll have to visualize it in your head how this is going to unfold. It takes some practice. It took me some practice before I was able to do it. The same thing goes for the upper layer also. As you can see that these two are angled to each other. You can see that the mouth is going inside. So there is no point keeping any of these faces together with these faces. It's always best to break your model into straight lines as much as possible, because those are the ones that come out the best. Now if I unfold it again, now let's see these pieces together. I'm pretty sure these are the ones. Is there any flap which is not easily attachable? No, all flaps are easily attachable. Then there is this part, the top part, which automatically got detached. Then there is this part which is also easy to attach. There is no small flaps and other thing. And then there is this part somewhere. Where it is gone? Oh yeah, here it is. Then there is this part which is also again easy to attach. So this is the kind of thought process you need to have in your mind when you are breaking the model. So let's work on this face itself. So we have done these 3 layers for this color. Next comes this part, which automatically got divided, but now let's specify it specifically. This is done. Now I'll explain this in a while. Now this I'm not breaking here, because if you see, the angle between these two faces in such a way that it is not going to cause any trouble, because the nose part is already separated out. So if I'll break this, and you can clearly see it again, there is no issue with any of the flaps. All the flaps are easily doable, and wherever the flaps are on the other piece, it's also there is enough space for it to attach. So I'll undo it again. You can always unfold and undo it to see if your model is coming correct or not. All right, similarly there is this part. Now if you see that I think this and this colors are same. Yeah, they are same, but this color is still there. So let me start breaking it from here. And let's see how it comes. I normally don't do these many unfolds because I have practiced enough. I know how this is going to turn out. All you need to check are all you need to check is that if there are any flaps which are not easily attachable once you start building it on paper. That's your primary concern when you are breaking any 3D model. So I'll undo the unfold again. Okay, now let's work on this color quickly. Now here comes the interesting part. You might be tempted to make this as a single piece. But whenever there is a peak coming out inside a area, for example in this case you can see that uh, this specific point is a peak that is coming out, you have to break the model there at that point. Reason being, if you do not break, there are chances that the flap will be small again. But before you break it, you can always check. So let's check how it is here. See, I was right. Because of the peak, the paper will need to come together, you know, the faces will need to come together, so you'll need to attach it. And this is fairly small. We don't want to complicate the matter. So what we will do is that we are going to, instead of breaking the model here, we are simply going to break the model here and remove these pieces. I don't know how is this. I think we'll need to break the model here also, and we'll need to break the model here also because it's the same topography here also. Since we are near the ear now, so I will break the model here. So let's see how this comes now. Now let's analyze each of the parts again. So here is this part number 1. First check if they are all the same color or not, because some of the colors are looking quite similar to each other. So this is okay. Then is this part. This is okay. Now if you feel you know that this and this piece could have been connected together, once you have unwrapped, all you need to do is that you need to click on this join and disjoin faces, and you can connect the pieces together. So this will connect here, and see if this is going to work or not. As you can see that this will work. There is enough space for the flap to connect, so we can keep this as a single piece also. So that option is there. If you want to go back again to the selection mode, you can either press Ctrl M, or you can click here. If you want to go to join and disjoin faces, you can press Ctrl N and then Ctrl M again to go back to the select and move mode. So let's see where this piece is. Now I want to check whether this and this piece can be clubbed together as a single piece. No, these two cannot be clubbed together. As you can see, this flap is very small, so I'll press Ctrl Z to separate them together. So we broke this area into 3 pieces, and all are of the same color. Now we'll apply the same breaking methodology on the other side of the face also. Break again. Now you can see similar pieces for the 2 sides, and it has come out fairly okay. What I want to check is this specific piece. This flap is enough, but if you want to get the same kind of break that you got before, all you need to do is disconnect these pieces and you get the same kind of piece. I'm pressing Ctrl M to go back to the move mode, and you can check the other piece also on the other side and see how that has come. Okay, these two have come out broken, so we'll need to connect these two together. Ctrl N to go back to the join and disjoin mode. Oh, it's this piece. And now both the pieces are looking similar to each other. So that's another thing that you need to take care of when you are working on a symmetrical model. The left and the right hand part should look similar to each other. Okay, all right, this is okay. So here we are again. Now let's break this nodes. Whenever there is a small strip like this around a main part, it's always good to separate it from the main part. So there is a fold inwards, there is a valley fold here, then there's a mountain fold here, then there is a valley fold. So valley folds are inward folds, mountain folds are upward folds. So you have to separate that out first of all anyway completely. Now this is a very small enclosed area, so it's good to break this strip into two parts. But let's see what happens if I don't break it first. So I will not break it, I will do the unfolding. Now let me check out this strip. Where is this? It has come out okay, there is no problem, things are not very close to each other, so we can let it be. Had this been very close to each other, for example this was coming here, this happens in cases of very small circular areas in a 3D model. If that would have been the case, then we would have to break the model at two places, here and here. Right now only one place breaks, works fine. So the system has automatically broken the model at this part, and then there is this piece which is also okay. So the nose is also done. Now let's move on to the eyes, which is a critical part because of these gray spots in the eyes. So enlarge as much as required in the cases where you need to see more clearly. Do not work on smaller scale. Okay, so the first, there are two colors, gray, a shade of blue, and black. So the first thing that I need to separate out obviously is the black and gray from it. I don't know what this color is, so I'm going to let it be for now. So with this, my blue, black and gray are separated out. So let's see how it comes. Is it coming good, bad, ugly? Let's see. So click here. So this has come okay, but as you can see that there is a flap here that is coming. So that means that we need to break this. So I don't know what this is. So what we need to do is we need to break the model here at this part. So let me press Ctrl N again to break the model. So where are the edges? So there is this only one edge here, so I'll break it. Now the moment I break this model, you can see that these two parts are now easy to connect. Now these flaps are very close to each other. I'll cover the flap portion in a while. First let's get done with the unwrapping part. So this part is okay. Where is this part? It is here. And where is this part? That is also here. This is also okay. Okay, so these are good. Let's unwrap again. And now let's break this eye into two parts. There's something a little bit wrong with the model because left eye is not looking same as the right eye. But we'll follow the same pattern as we did for the other eye. So I'm going to specify again. Since I'm not able to clearly see here, so I'll rotate the model slightly so that I can catch that gray area properly. Now these are done, and we'll break the, so we needed to break it here, so I'll apply this here, and I think we need to break it at two places. So I'll break it here and I'll break it here. This is going to be a tricky one, so let's see how this has come. Okay, so it has, this is one part and this is the other part, but this is still same. Okay, so we need to break it at two places, so I'll break it here also in a while. And this is how the breakage has come. So these two are easily connectable pieces, you can connect them easily, and this I'll break again. So I'll undo the unfold, and with that we are done with the eyes. So we need to supply this information here also. Okay, so now we are done with the eyes. Now let's move on to rest of the eye parts. Now this eyes are always complicated, so you need to be a little bit careful how you are building the eyes. Now you can see this triangular piece which is like sitting alone there, so we need to ensure that is taken care of. So this becomes part number 1. These 3 faces become part number 2, and this one big face becomes part number 3. Actually we can include here also, so this becomes part number 3, and we are going to apply the same information here also. Part number 1, part number 2, and this becomes part number 3. And again, let's see how it comes. So first check this piece, because this was the most dicey piece. Is it coming okay? Yes, this piece is coming okay. Even that small little triangle is coming okay. Then comes this piece, which is also okay. This piece is also okay. So all in all, this is okay. And here becomes the bridge of the nose at the top, which is a single standalone piece. So that is also okay. So again, I'll reiterate, the point is not to do it in an optimized manner. The point is to do it in a way that is easily doable by anybody. Anybody can follow this instruction. Now as you can see, by automatically it has detached this part, but we'll need to specify. Going back again to our design board, so we need to do it like this, 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 this. So this time I will not unfold because we know how the result is going to be. Now we'll keep the ears aside and we will do rest of the skull, because these are fairly straightforward, so no explanation needed here. But you can see that I'm keeping the ear parts aside. Once again, we are following the same principle, keeping things in a single line, because in that case, it's not going to cause any trouble when we are working with paper, and all the flaps will have enough space to work with. It's quite possible, when you see the length of these pieces, it's quite possible that these pieces might not fit in a single page. In that case, we will obviously need to break the pieces, but for now let's keep it as it is. We'll deal with that once we see the length of the pieces. So I'll stop here for this piece, and for this also I'll stop here, and I will keep these two separate. As you can see, the back portion which is going to get attached to the wall, I am completely separating it out, which is always a good practice. We don't want it to mix with rest of the pieces of the model. So guys, this is how I keep visualizing in my head how when I start building it on paper, how the model is going to turn out. So with that, we are done with the head. The only thing that is remaining is the ears. So now let's work on the ear. So till here it was one color. So what we need to do is we need to separate out these two parts, because they are at an angle, so they obviously need to get separated. Otherwise the flaps will come very close to each other. And after this I will unfold again and showcase what we have done so far. So this is done on one ear, and let me do it on the other ear also before I do rest of the ear. Now let's unfold. So let's see all these pieces. No piece is big enough, so this is good. So these are good. Now coming to ear, here is the part 1. This has also come out good. There is no problem with that part. And here's the part 2, and here's the part 2 of the other ear. this has come out good. Now the only thing that is remaining is inside of the ear, so we will work on that, and with that we will be done with the face, and then we will move on to rest of the body, which is fairly simple. I think the bow tie is the one that is going to give most of the trouble. So let me quickly do this. So I've broken this into 3 parts, 1, 2 and 3 for easy assembly. And the ear is done. Now let's move on to rest of the body. So let's get bow tie out of the way first. Now for this bow tie, as this is a very thin assembly here, you can see that there is no depth in the bow tie. It's a very thin assembly, so obviously we need to separate out this thin piece from rest of the bow tie, and the reason remains the same for easy assembly. That's the first thing we are gonna do. That is done, and the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to separate out this center part from rest of the bow tie, once again for easy assembly. So this, so if you will unwrap, you can see these easy pieces. Can you see? Much more easier to connect. Okay, undoing the unfold again. Now it's fairly straightforward, so let's quickly do rest of the body. There are 2 colors here. There is gray, and then there is this black color. So let's see what we can quickly do. So first let's do the black, because I think that's straightforward. So let's break this here, here, here and here. Then the other one can be broken like this, and I think the rest is, you cannot specify a cut line edge on a open edge, so that is going to remain as is. So this side is done, and similarly in a symmetrical way we'll specify on the other side also. Let's quickly unfold and check. This piece is not coming. Okay, what about this piece? This piece is fine, and this piece is also fine, but these 2 pieces are not okay. Reason, once again, this is a small flap area. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a break there. So I'm going to specify a cut line edge here, here and here and here, and it is because of the way the model is. You can see that there is this little bend. So let me remove the material here. You can see that this is going inward. Because of that, the pieces have to come apart when we are doing the unwrapping, so there has to be space to do that, so we need to separate it out. So oh, this shimp looks much better without any material to it and these beautiful cut lines. Anyway, going back, now we are left with this gray part, which is easy to do. So I'll specify here, specify here. Now this is a little tricky because it is obscured, so I'm going to take help here. This, I think this should work, but just to be safe, let's break it here and here also. And with that we are done. The only thing remaining is this back attaching part, so let's break it. and this should be more than enough. Once we are done with this difficult part, then comes the next difficult part of sequencing the pieces. So let's quickly check if everything is coming fine or not, especially those gray pieces. Is everything okay with it? This piece is fine, this piece is also fine, this piece is also fine, this piece is also fine, and this piece is also fine. So everything is fine, nothing to worry about. Now that you are done with this and you have successfully deconstructed your 3D model and unfolded it into parts in such a way that they are easy to connect, then comes the tough part of sequencing. Which part is going to get glued first, then which part comes next, and which part comes next. So like I said before, the isolated parts, like the inner ear or the eyes, the nose, and any ornament or clothing item like the bow tie in this case, they need to be prepared first. So let's start with the bow tie. Let's make it and keep it aside. Also, when you are preparing your template, it's a good practice to keep the same colors on one page, or do not mix colors on a page. So what I'm going to do is that this is the bow tie, so I'm going to remove this, just drag everything a little bit down so that there is space at the top. So on the right hand side also, the functions of the mouse buttons remains the same. Scroll wheel to zoom in and zoom out, right wheel to shift it, since we can't rotate here, so it's to shift it, and right mouse button to shift it, and left mouse button to select. So now when we are constructing this 2D template, or when we are making this 2D template, there are a couple of points that you really need to take care about. If any part is very thin, like this one, now if I zoom in, you can clearly see that the thickness of the actual paper, which is going to be visible after you build your model, is less than the thickness of the flap. Now there are two ways to address this. One is that you reduce the thickness of the flap. So for this, there is this edit flaps option that is available. One is to reduce the thickness, which you can do by going to select shape, and let's say currently it is 5 mm. I do it to 2 mm. Once you put the number, do not select apply to all, because it gets applied to the entire model of everything that is on all of the pages. Just click on the flap where you want to do this, so it becomes less than this model. That's one way to do it, which is not the preferred way, because having a 2 mm flap means that you only have this much area to apply the glue, this thickness only. So there is another better way of doing it is, so I'll make it 5 mm again. The other better way of doing it is switching its position with another flap. So for example, this flap was going to get attached here. So instead of keeping keeping the flap on these pieces, so what will happen is that if you see, this flap is going to get attached here, but the space in this colored area is far less than the thickness of the flap. So I'm going to switch it to this thin piece, so that nothing gets glued onto this thin piece, but this thin piece is getting glued to other pieces. That's the objective. So we'll bring all the flaps to this thin piece, so that no flap gets glued to the thin piece. Instead, this thin piece is getting glued to rest of the bigger pieces. So this will make my job easier when I'm actually constructing the model. This looks like a sausage, but yeah, that's okay. Similarly for this thin part also, I'm going to get rid of all the flaps here. Now that we are done with this section, I'm going to close this, go back to the selection mode again. Now comes understanding how to build it. Now if you see this bow tie is a closed structure, more or less, except at this part. So what we are going to do now is to start numbering the pieces, how to connect them together. Now let's select what piece is what piece. So this is this piece, and on this, the piece that is going to get connected is this one. So these two are going to get connected. Since this is very thin, it might become difficult to connect the pieces together, but then sometimes there is no choice. So for me, this is the starting piece, piece number 1. Then we have piece number 2, and then we have piece number 3. Okay, so press Ctrl T to enter the text, write something, piece number 1. We have piece number 2, and we have piece number 3. Press Ctrl M again to go back to the selection mode. In case the piece is very small, you can keep the piece number on the flap also, so that's okay. So we have 1, 2 and 3. Similarly on the other side, 4, 5 and 6. So we have 4, we have 5, and we have 6. So Ctrl T, 4, this is 6, a dot so that you don't confuse it with the 9, and this is 5. Okay, so we are done with 6 pieces. Once these two sides of the bow tie are connected, then we can connect it to the center piece, which is this one. So this becomes your piece number 7, this becomes piece number 8, and this becomes piece number 9. Again a dot to separate it from 6. Now if I move this piece, this one doesn't move with it. So it's always a good practice to select both of them together by keeping the control button clicked, or you can also do this box selection, but that's a little bit dicey because the rest of the pieces also get selected at times. So keeping control key pressed, select both of them together and press Ctrl G to group them together. Now if I move this one moves along with it. So it's always a good practice to do this. Ctrl G, Ctrl G, again, again. Now right now I'm not talking about the effective positioning of the pieces on the page to optimize your printing process. So the target is to arrange as many pieces as possible of a single color on a one page, but in this case these are the only colored pieces. If there are other pieces of the same color, then we'll put them on the same page. So we are done with this bow tie. Next comes the eye part. So this and this, these are the parts that we need to connect. These are 3 separate colors, so let me quickly bring them together. This is color 1, color 2, this is color 3. So we have reached till piece number 9. So let me get rid of the materials for a minute. Again, there is little bit tidbit about flaps that we need to talk about. So this becomes piece number 10, this becomes piece number 11. Now this piece is small, so you can reduce the font size to 8. This becomes piece number 12, and this becomes piece number 13. Once again, these are smaller pieces, so shift all the flaps to these smaller pieces. So press Ctrl F to go to the flap menu, and what we need to do is we need to remove these pieces from these hexagon area from here to these flaps. So we are going to shift the flaps. Ensure that you have selected the position here, so that way nothing gets glued onto these small pieces. And then there is this piece. going back to the selection mode again. So this becomes where we have reached, sorry, we have reached till 13. So this becomes piece number, we can again go back to the font size 16 and this becomes piece number 14. Okay, all right, we are done. Again the same process. Grouping them together so that I can move them easily. Now comes the second part. Now these are of the same color, black, so I can put them on the same page. We have reached a count of 14, 15, 16. Then these gray pieces. This is 17. We'll need to reduce the font again. And this is 18. And once again, you need to shift the flap, press Ctrl F to open the flap menu, ensure that position is selected there, and bring the flaps to the smaller pieces. And here is the last piece of the eye. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, here you are. In the market, you will see templates, with a lot of big pieces, which is okay in case of, geometrical shapes, but it's really not okay for models like these kind of animals, human beings, or anything complex. 18. I hope I am in the right count. We have covered 18, 15, 16, 17, 18. If you have entered wrong text, you can select it, you can edit it, and you can change it to what you want. So this is 19. So we are done with the eye. So if you want to check, how much you have covered in your template, you can always select it and everything will go right here. So let me bring back the colors again. So these are selected. Now comes the ear parts. So we need this, this, and this. First, let me see if they are different colors. So yes, they are all different colors. So what we need to do is that we need to shift it again down. Okay, I'll select these again. So these three are different colors. This piece has separated, so I think it was accident. These colors. It's important to club the colors together. It's very important. So these are two different colors. As you can see that this color is black, more darker shade of brown, and this is a different shade of brown. So we need to put them on separate colors. And again, these two are of same color, but this is of a different color. So what we can do is that we can attach these two together. So press Ctrl N and see if these two can be attached. So this can be attached. So this becomes one piece. This becomes piece number 2, piece number 3, and piece number 4, which we need to do now. So we have 4 different colors. So we need to put them on 4 separate pages. Okay, we have gone till 19. So we continue from there. So this becomes piece number 20. Once you have connected this piece, then comes this piece. So this becomes piece number 21. So let me switch the places. This becomes piece number 21. Then this becomes piece number 22. And this becomes piece number 23. Let me remove the texture to show where they have gone. Okay. Control G, Control G. Now this specific part, numbering and sequencing is very tedious. That's where most of the time of Pepakura goes. Anyway, this and this I should join together. So what I'm going to do is that I will do this directly on the 3D model. You can do it here also, and you can do it here also. So this I will join together. Going back to the selection mode again. This is this color, and we have this color. We have done till 23. Once again the same process, Control G. Now let's select everything again. Have we covered all the isolated areas? So let's focus on the nose now. So it's selected. Where is that nose? And let's check what color is it. I think it's the same color as the bow tie, so we can club it with the bow tie. Sadly no, so we need to put it on a separate page. We have covered till 27. Once again we'll need to shift the flaps to this. So as a rule of thumb, thinner pieces get all the flaps. Now we are done with the isolated parts. So the entire process will start from nose. So this will be the starting point. So we'll build all these pieces before we start with the nose, and then we are going to proceed next. So we'll build all these pieces together, and then we will add these parts. So we are at part number 29. The next part that is going to get connected is this. So we'll search where this next part is. So this is part number 30. By the way, it's not necessary that you keep separating every color. If you want to build it in a single color, you can club all the parts on a single page as much as you want. So this is part number 30. So once you have connected this, so keep so let me do one thing. We'll keep the isolated parts separate, but at the same time I want to showcase how the sequencing, how you actually figure out how much model you have completed. So let me do this like this. So if I select this, I know this much of my model is completed. Then comes this part, this part, this part, and this part. So these 4 parts come next. They all are of the same color, so thankfully I can put them on the same page. Now you will see me optimizing space. I will try to arrange the pieces in such a way so that printing space is optimized to the maximum. So I'll keep them as close to the border as possible, because I'll anticipate more pieces of this color are going to come. Now this, if I put it like this, it's going to consume space, so I'm going to rotate it with the help of that green handle so that less space is consumed. Now I will number it. We are at, oh, I did not group it. That's why we need to group the numbers so that this does not happen. We're at 30. So this is 31. Then we have, after this we have this piece, 32. Then I think we have this piece. Once again I'm going to optimize the space, just don't overlap. We have 33, and I think then we have this piece, we have 34. So once you are done, we have completed the mouth of the chimp. Alright, So this is how the sequencing is going. Now comes this part. First we'll connect this part because I think this will help connect the eyes better. So we are going to connect this part, which is a different color. Let's see if we have had the same color before. This is the same color, so we can put it on this page. 33, 34. See, once again I'm trying to optimize this space. It's important that you do that because colored papers are very costly. Part number 35. This much is covered. Now we can connect the bridge of the nose. That's our next part, which is also the same color, so we can continue with this part. Part number 36. Then comes this and this. Part number 38. Right now I'm not grouping because that goes without saying that you need to group. You can do it at the end also if you don't expect to move the pieces around. Okay, so we are done with this. So let me just quickly rearrange this. So this much we have completed. So if you turn off the face, you can turn off the materials, you can clearly see what you have completed. Now you are at a position where you can connect the eye. So either you can connect the eye right now, or you can connect these two pieces and then you can connect the eye. So it's up to you basically, you know, how you want to connect the eye. Okay, so I think let's connect these two pieces together to this so that there is a small portion here to connect the two eyes, and then we will close the eyes. So this and this piece, wherever they are, these are a little unsymmetrical for some reason. Maybe something went wrong with the cut line, but it's okay. I think we can make them symmetrical. We can break this and we can connect this. Now both the pieces are symmetrical, this and this. Yes, it's important for symmetrical model to keep your pieces symmetrical because it gives a look of professionalism to your template, to be frank. So we are at 38, and with that, oops. Will I be able to fix it here? I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah. And then this becomes piece number 40. Alright, let's select again. It's very fascinating, to see the progression of your sequencing. You can clearly see from the selection that the next step is the eye. So you need to specify in your template that after approaching this part, you need to connect the eyes. So if we see the numbering here, we are at part number 40. So what we need to tell that after part number 39, connect the right eye, and after part number 40, connect the left eye. So let's see where we have the right eye and the left eye. So this is the right eye. So this needs to get connected after part number 39, and the left eye needs to get connected after part number 40. So what we need to do now is need to write a simple text here at the bottom of this page. So press Ctrl T and connect. right eye after part number 39 and left eye after part number 40, and put it on the template so that the person who is working on the template knows the sequence when to connect the isolated parts. So that being done, now let's move on. We are here, so I think the next part to get connected is this and these parts. This needs to be joined, so okay, I just want it to be completely symmetrical, that's all. Okay, so where are we with this and this? Let's press the materials again because we need the colors. So these are the same colors. We are at part number 40. Then comes this piece and this piece, which are obviously a different color, but we already have this color in one of the pages, so we are going to use that. Next are these, sorry, next are this and this. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, I'll quickly talk about it. Whenever you have long pieces, like this, where there are multiple faces in a single line, it's always good to have the flaps alternate. So on one edge it's empty, on the other edge there is a flap, then it's empty, there is a flap, then it's empty, there is a flap, then it's empty. It has nothing to do with the templating process, but when you are doing the actual joining, then it speeds up your process of joining if you have the flaps alternate, because it allows the two pieces to hold together, because one flap is going under it, then the other is coming on top of it. So and you don't have to wait for the glue to dry before you move on to the next flap. So that sort of helps speeding up the assembly process. So it's good to have flaps on the alternate, especially on the long pieces. On the short pieces it doesn't matter that much. So for example, here we can make it alternate, but that's okay, it's not that much of a big deal. Okay, so we have reached till piece number 46. We have completed this and these two are remaining, so 47 and 48, and with that this color is complete. So we only need space to accommodate these two pieces, which we have. Now that this is done, we can see that we are closing in on the ear part now. But before we actually attach the ear, what we need to do is that we need to attach this outer ear to the inner ear that we have already created. Okay, so now we need to add this to our instructions also. So what we are going to do now is to attach this part and this part. So these are big pieces, so I'm going to rotate it. This is the right ear, so I'll need to change my instructions here. But before that, what is the part number that I have reached? I have reached part number 48, so this becomes part number 49 and this becomes part number 50. We have reached the half century. Let's edit this. The instructions that you need to edit is simple. Connect right inner ear with part 49. It's important to leave the right instructions. Alright, after this is done, then comes the other part, which is this and this part. Just trying to adjust the spaces here. I don't want to waste the printing space, but at the same time I don't want to leave the instructions behind also. Part number 51, and with that we've officially crossed the half century. Part number 52. Now let's see how much we have done. We have covered the ear also. See, this is not getting selected because they are there. Okay, then comes this part. I think what I should do is that I should put it horizontal, that way it will optimize the space, and I can pull these two down. There is a lot of more black coming up. You can always enlarge and see if they are going to overlap or not. Part number 53. Yeah, we are right in numbering. Now it's fairly easy to complete rest of the head. We go in sequence. This is part number 54. Let me bring the colors again. Is it the same color? No, it's not the same color, but I think we have encountered this color before. So this is so let's select what we have done so far. So far this much we have built. These two are remaining, 58 and 59. And do we have space for that? You have to squeeze in as much as you can, to make best use of the space. I'm repeating this again and again because colored papers are costly. So when it comes to colored paper, I normally do not take direct printout on colored paper. I take printout on black and white paper, regular photocopy paper, and then I utilize it. Okay, we have reached till part number 59, and I think if I select now, the entire head is covered. Nothing is left. Then what we are going to do is we are going to reach till the bow tie area, and then we will do the rest of the pieces. So we are going to connect this part first. So this is done. Then we need to attach this part and this part and this part. See, understand, look at the sequencing, how I'm doing. I'm visualizing in my head that if I'm actually going to attach it on paper, is it going to cause me any issue if I attach this part before a certain other part? So for example, in these three parts, I first have to create that hole for the bow tie. So I'm going to attach this first to the rest of the head, then this part, and then this part, and then to close that hole I'm going to attach this part. So this is will become your part number 61. This will become part number 62, and this becomes part number 63. Now I can leave instruction, connect the bow tie after part number 63. How much we have done? Let's select again. This much is done. Now that the bow tie and everything is connected, we can connect this part and this part. But now that I'm looking at the selection, I can see that bow tie might cause hindrance in connecting these two parts. So I'm going to first connect these two also, and then I'm going to connect bow tie. So I'll revise my instructions. So this and this is what I'm going to connect first. So we were at part number 63. What we are going to do is that call them 64, 65, and we are going to edit this. Instead of 63, it is going to be 65. Now I'm pretty sure that this will not cause any kind of hindrance. Now that we have started on this part, we need to start on the sides also. So this and this becomes two new parts. But are they the same color? That I need to check. Let me quickly do that check. No, these are different colors. So we have reached part number 65. Now we will move towards this. So this becomes part number 66, a dot, so that you don't confuse it with 99. And where is this part? Here you are. And this becomes 67. Always keep checking where you have reached. So the next we can connect this and this first, or we can connect this first. There is not much difference here, so we can go one way and we can move towards the other way. So we have reached part number 67. This becomes part number 68. This becomes part number 69. Part number 70. This I will need to shift to another page because I will not be able to accommodate it here. So this becomes here. Let me quickly see till where I have reached. I have reached till part number 69, so this becomes part number 70. Now next I need to connect this first because it will become difficult after connecting these two pieces. This goes on to that gray page. Again, if you don't have the colors, if it's a single color model, then you don't need to bother with all these page separation. You can, just go ahead and put all the parts on a single page as much as possible. So we are done till here and we are almost reaching the end now. There is no way we can accommodate it here, so we are going to shift to a different page. And I have to keep it like this, unfortunately. But what I can do is that I can break this. So let me break this here. Actually, I'm pretty sure I can arrange all this if I'll spend more time, but this video is getting long, so I'll just quickly wrap this up. So let me just shift it to the another page. So in total, we have total of 79 pieces in this model of different colors. Obviously, if we arrange all the parts on a single page, or as much parts as possible on a single page, a lot less pages will be needed. But since uh, we are working on a colored model of different colors, so that's why I've arranged them on a separate pages. Okay, also it's a good practice to club the pages of same colors together. So I'll show you what I mean. So what I mean to say is, like this black and this black are together, this gray and gray are together. So what, this is a separate color. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to shift this to another page, and I'm going to shift these near the gray. So this will help to club the pages together. It helps during the printing process. Also, I'll remove these black from here. I hope I have selected all, and I will bring them here. Just ensure that they are within the boundaries when you are shifting them. And I will get these on here. With that, we have clubbed the colors together also. So that's another aspect that you need to take care of. Next, you need to name the colors. If you know the name of the color, then it's okay. Otherwise, you can simply say color 1, color 2. Now this is gray, so I can clearly type that this is a gray color. So I'll make it a little bit bolder. Gray. I'll write somewhere here also, this is gray. Okay. This one is dark gray. This is bow tie. We can make bow tie as red. So I will mark this color as red. This is peacock blue. Dark peacock blue. See, I really don't know the name of these colors, so I'm just writing them as I feel these colors. So this is black. If you don't want to type the same thing again and again, you can right click and duplicate also, and you can just put it here. So this is also black. This is also black. These are only two colors which I don't know. So nude shade, light nude shade, and this is dark nude shade. So I'll just put it like that. Pretty sure I won't have these colors exact same shade. So whatever shades you have, you can call it like that. And with that, our template is done. So just go through it again, see if any instructions or anything are missing. Once you are satisfied, then the last step, that is you supply the edge IDs. So right now, if you see that you actually don't know which piece gets connected where. So for that, okay, now what you see that these numbers are overlapping. So this 133 is actually not for this edge, it is for this edge. So the numbers are on top of it. So we can go to the settings click on other settings and go to others. Font size is very high, so we are going to make it font size 8. No, that did not help, so we are going to make it 6. It is still confusing, so now we are going to reduce it to the lowest possible, which is 4. And or this, or we can select this option, which will place the edge IDs on the outside of the faces. But this is okay, where the edge IDs are coming on top of flaps. It's not okay for those cases where there are no flaps, because when you are going to cut this piece out, you will forget what was the number here. Hence we normally don't select that option. So we are going to uncheck that option here, and we are going to click OK. Now this is fairly readable. This is for edge number 132. One thing you need to check is that none of these numbers, the piece numbers, are on top of any of those edge numbers. So you have to ensure in all the pieces. So for that you can get rid of the materials and quickly check. You might feel that edge IDs are not here, but they are here. You'll have to zoom in because we have opted for a smaller font size. Okay, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, this is also fine. Also you can check these numbers are not on any of these dotted lines. Okay, and with that our template is ready. All you need to now do is print it to PDF. If you want colored printout, you'll have to have the materials enabled. If you don't want colored printout, then you can disable the materials. And I have not saved the file. It would have been a really good idea to save it. I hope the Pepakura doesn't crash. Okay, PDF has come, so the first thing that I'm going to do is save it. Now when you check the PDF, all you need to check is that if the pieces are intact, they are not getting cut at the borders or anything. So that's all you need to check. Scroll through all the pages once and check quickly. One of the benefits of clubbing the papers, same colored papers together in your template process is that what I can do is that I can get rid of these materials. Suppose I want to take printout on a colored paper itself in the correct sequence, then I don't need these materials because I will have my papers for printing sequenced anyway. So I can get rid of this and I can save this as without colors. Here it is, and this one is without color. This I can take a direct printout on colored papers, and my ink will not be spent that much. Okay guys, so that's it about the Pepakura Masterclass. This is how we do things. This is how we visualize breaking of a model, sequencing of a model, and all the little tidbits that I have shared throughout this entire video, things that you need to take care of to build a really easy to DIY kind of template. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys liked the video, then please do not forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends. Also do subscribe to my channel for regular videos on paper arts, string arts, and other forms of art. And I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Till then, stay safe, take care, and bye bye.